How you doing, guys? John Hippensteel here with River North CrossFit. Wanted to share a little bit with you about what I learned over the weekend at a CrossFit Endurance seminar in Denver, specifically going into what is CrossFit Endurance, or CFE. First, we're going to define CrossFit Endurance. Then we're going to kind of look at the traditional model of endurance training and then compare that to the CrossFit Endurance, or CFE model. So, what is CrossFit Endurance? First word CrossFit, second word endurance. With CrossFit Endurance, we bring a structured strength and conditioning to sport, namely CrossFit, which is constantly varied, high-intensity, functional movements. CrossFit is the basis for the CFE model of endurance training because we believe that, you know, at the end of an endurance event, your body's not going to break down because of lack of an aerobic capacity. It's going to break down because of lack of strength in the muscles. So we constantly vary the time domains instead of staying in the oxidative or cardio or just, you know, going out for distance. We go super short intervals, medium intervals, longer intervals, constantly varied. We add a lot of weight training as well. So going into what the traditional model versus CrossFit Endurance model, the traditional model, it starts with volume. It's periodization is a term that's often used in this community. Whatever the distance of your event, you're building up week by week, and then maybe on the fourth week there's a taper week, then building up again for 3 weeks, decreasing by 10 to 15%, and so on and so forth. In this, while you're building your mileage base, intensity is rarely above 70%. You're just kind of going out there putting the miles on your legs. After that base is achieved, we'll add intensity under this model. And then rarely, if ever, is technique or skill addressed. So the intensity would refer to track intervals, intervals on the bike, harder swim sets, and so on and so forth. Under the CrossFit Endurance model, we start with technique and skill. Be that running, biking, swimming, we look at run mechanics, we look at biking mechanics, we look at your technique in the pool. We make sure that's good to go before we add intensity or volume. Just like in your back squat, we're not going to allow you to have heavier weight before your form is where it needs to be to avoid injury. When 70 to 80% of runners in America in the next year will experience an injury, it's a dangerous sport. We need to focus more on the form and technique first, over and above intensity or volume. So after the technique and skill is there, then we'll add the intensity in with short intervals, long intervals. We'll add tempo and time trials as the skill is able to be held up under intensity. Then we'll get to volume. We'll get more of the tempo, more of the longer time trial efforts. In a nutshell, that's what CrossFit Endurance is, and thanks for listening. Take care.